Bruchim Avoyim B'Shem Hashem, and welcome to your Kiruv Connection. So glad you're able to join us in our living room today. We have a very special guest in our studio who's been with us before, and I'll tell you about him in just a moment. This is your Kiruv Connection, your one-stop source for information and inspiration on all things pertaining to Kiruv Rechokim, Kiruv Krovim, Chizuk Krovim, and the things we need to do to give nachas to the Ribono Shalom from all of his children. My name is Dovid Winiarz. I am your host, and I'm really glad you were able to join us today. There's been so much going on in the world. I am so excited and so ecstatic over the feedback I've been getting about this show. There are people out there who've told me that they've taken the time to smile at other people. There are people who've taken the time to reach out to other people, their neighbors, their friends, their coworkers, who are possibly less observant than they are, in the thrill and the excitement of giving over something that is precious to them, and that is their Yiddishkeit. I've said it many times that the differences between Yiddishkeit and a lawyer, or actually and a will, is that Yiddishkeit is your inheritance that you don't need to probate. The will is a whole different story. But it is our inheritance. It's something that we have that's worth trillions upon trillions upon trillions, if not more, of dollars. And the only thing we have to do with it, other than enjoy what HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us, is to give it away, is to give it to those who don't know that that inheritance is waiting for them. And when I first signed on to do this show, that was really my goal, that was my intention, to try to excite people about the fact that all of us can make a difference in the lives of Achenu Kol Beis Yisrael. There are under 14 million Jews in the world today, 13.5 million, 12.5 million, you pick the number, whatever it is. And sadly enough, we're disappearing. But positively enough and excitedly enough, there are people who are waking up to the beauty of what's going on in their own backyards. The Navi said many years ago, Hine yomim boim vishlachli rav boretz, lo rav lalechem v'lo tzam alamayim, rakes lishmayas divrei Hashem. That's what the Yidden are waking up to. They want to hear the Dvar Hashem. I've said it before that OMG, like they talk about on the internet, OMG means oh my God. But the truth is that OMG is now becoming a tefillah, given the craziness that's going on in the world, and not just an expression. People are recognizing the fact that if they don't connect with the Ribono Shalom, then what's it all about? What's life worth living if we don't have something greater than ourselves, if we don't connect ourselves to somebody and someone that's greater and bigger than all of us together? That's what the story is. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, if you have any concerns, please feel free to reach out to me. But first I want to tell you, you've heard it before, today's show is sponsored by Fidelity Payment Services, your one-stop source for all your merchant services needs. If you're interested in running a business or an organization and you want to collect money, either by cash, by credit card, by check, by gift card or loyalty card, or debit card, that's what I do for a living, actually. I am a merchant services provider. I'm a business services director. That's a BSD for short. Siyata Dishmaya. And by the way, that's another sponsor, but we'll get back to that in just a moment. And if you have any credit card related needs, give me a call at 718-983-9272. That's 718-983-9272. Of course, while it goes without saying, I'm going to say it anyway. If you have any questions about the show or concerns about Kiruv and whatnot, what we could do to make a difference, reach out to me about that as well. That number is 718-983-9272. If you're shy and you just want to text me, you could text me at 718-801-1923. That's 718-801-1923. And if you're even shyer than that, you could send me an email to dovid@dovid.com, dovid@dovid.com. Even though the company I work with is based out of Williamsburg, Brooklyn, my email is not duvid@dovid.com. It's dovid, dovid@dovid.com. That mistake actually happened the very first week I went to work for them. In a similar vein, I live in Staten Island, New York, and I once told an Italian that my email was dovid@dovid.com, and they said, how do you spell it? So I said, well, it's David, but with an O. So they sent an email to DAVIDO, Davido@davido.com. That also bounced back. But Dovid@dovid.com, and you'll be able to reach me. Okay? I hope you're not shy, because I'd love to hear from you. Speaking of not shy, we have in the studio with us today a guest who's been on our program before, Rabbi YY Rubenstein. Rabbi YY Rubenstein is a noted lecturer, a noted author, a noted columnist. You know, Rabbi YY, you've got a lot of notes.
Well, yeah, and I'm musical as well. So you can.
Oh, are you really?
Yeah.
What do you play?
I play the bagpipes.
Really? Oh, I wonder where that came from.
And the guitar.
Okay.
And recorder, mouth organ.
Really? Okay, there you go. We had in our studio a while
cello.
back. We had Yom Tov Glazer. Actually, he brought his guitar.
Had you only asked,
I would have had I known.
actually on my Facebook page, my social media portal,
Yes.
my social media portal, I've actually asked if there's anybody coming from Manchester, England, who would like to bring my Fender Stratocaster over.
Your what?
Fender Stratocaster.
Bagpipes?
Fender Stratocaster.
Oh, okay. Obviously, people in music know what we're talking about here.
You obviously have never heard of Jacob Hendricks.
No. What does he do?
Elimelech Clapton.
Oh, yes, I've heard of him.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
yeah.
Jacob Hendricks, you've never heard
Oh,
of
yeah,
him.
okay, yes, okay, I've heard of him also. Okay.
They
Yes.
they played Fender
I
Stratocaster.
didn't realize that was his name.
Yeah, not as good as me. Well, Jacob is James.
Is he really?
James
That's
is
true.
James is the English form of Yaakov.
Oh, so it's the King Yaakov version
It is
of the Bible.
King Yaakov Bible. Yeah,
Really?
Yeah.
That's-
Who was a Scot, incidentally.
That's terrifying.
Did you know that?
No, I did not know.
Scottish.
Okay.
Yes. We've got a lot to
Do you
answer.
really have an instrument overseas?
Yeah, in Manchester. I'll put it in my Facebook.
So, so if anybody out there is in Manchester and is going to be coming to the States, they should
I will
reach out
pay.
to you.
I will pay for it to come here. You
Okay.
can extra baggage, extra bag, $100. I'll pay. I pick you up at the airport and take you to anywhere in the greater New York area.
That's amazing.
I'm missing it.
I think it would be so exciting if that actually happens. That would be very, very cool. Anybody out there, guys, you hear that? Anybody out there who's in Manchester, or if you know somebody who's coming back from Manchester, please let us know. Reach out to me at the studio at 718-983-9272, 718-983-9272, or send me a text at 718-801-1923. You heard it here first. Anyway, so you do so many different things. Like I said, you're an author. You have how many books written now?
8.
8 books. The most recent book is The Queen's Lives, right?
The Secret Diaries of Queen Elizabeth II.
Secret Diaries of Queen Elizabeth II. How do you know the Queen?
Well, that's interesting. I even today, in fact, at the moment, even though you can see me talking to you, but if you went to BBC on their website, or if you were in the UK, you can hear me at the moment on BBC Radio, because I frequently broadcast even though I'm in New York.
That's incredible.
So
Is that like schizophrenia? Like, is that your multiple personalities? You're able to do that? How do you?
Let me just ask George. Yeah, George says you're never alone with schizophrenia. So that's interesting, and so basically, when I lived there a lot more than I do now, I used to regularly appear in national radio and TV. I had my own radio show, with
Fantastic.
a minimum audience of 15 million people, which is, I'm sure, the same audience as you get.
Absolutely.
And anyway, so basically, Her Majesty the Queen, bless her, came to Manchester in England about 5 years ago to be presented to the Jewish community. And there's a line of all the great and good, important, the Latin phrases machers, standing to be
I
presented.
thought that was French, to be perfectly honest. with you.
It translated into French as
okay.
machers.
All right.
Machers. And so she shook hands with the president of the community and she said, "Is Rabbi YY here?" And he went, "No, ma'am." "Oh, what a pity. We listen to him all the time on the radio and we think he's awfully good."
Fantastic.
So yeah, so the Queen thinks I'm awfully good. There is a note to put on the old resume.
That's fantastic.
Yes,
That's
yes.
fantastic.
But I wanted to ask you something. I know you're supposed to be interviewing me.
Sure,
but I
fire
wanted,
away.
Yeah, and because your introduction, we're talking lofty, important, crucial ideas. The Super Bowl.
Okay. The Super Bowl that's what Og Melech HaBashan ate for breakfast.
From, I'm sure.
Yes.
The Seahawks won.
Okay, if you say so.
Oh, this is not looking good. I was going to ask, what is it?
What is it? What are the Seahawks?
What is the Super Bowl and what game were they playing? As a British person,
Okay.
what were they doing over there? Was
Okay.
it snooker?
I will be totally
Tiddlywinks?
completely honest with you, and I may offend an awful lot of people in our Brooklyn audience, but I really couldn't care less about football. Yes, I'm telling you, it's absolutely
Oh,
horrific.
football!
Oh yes, the game
It's
is.
football!
It was called football. Yes.
Even the rest of the world, what you call soccer, the rest of the world calls football. Yours is the game which is really rugby for pansies.
Okay, so
Yeah, but
you're
all the
trying to
padding
make
and
fun
stuff
of me,
like
but you don't understand.
Hey guys, let's go after the ball.
Take off the stuff.
You're
Let
trying
me
to
do it.
offend me, but I'm not your regular run-of-the-mill
Okay,
talk show
sorry,
host
sorry,
because I
sorry.
really don't
You
care.
don't know, and you
There
don't-
are other radio programs where all they do is they talk sports and this
Sports,
and
okay.
that. No, please.
Okay, yeah.
I appreciate the fact that there are people out there who bow down on their knees and they pray and they do all sorts of wonderful things before games, which is quite admirable.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Depends what they're praying to.
What or who, that's true.
Yeah.
But the concept is good. I think it was the Rambam, correct me, who said that the reason why HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought into the world these other major religions is to sort of introduce to them the concepts that we've been talking about all along.
Ooh, you're in a minefield. You're in a minefield.
Okay, well,
yes, there was a certain well-known rabbinic personality who said something along those lines in one of his books, which Rabbi Yashu said made his views incompatible with Judaism.
Okay.
The Rambam's not quite saying that.
Okay, so
if you look at the Hebrew, what he says is, even though we strongly disagree with Christianity and Islam, which frankly we do. Incidentally, people get very upset. This sounded like unpolitically correct. I have appeared on a gazillion TV shows in England with other representatives,
members of the clergy.
Members of the clergy.
Yeah.
And in political correct land, and incidentally, I hope nobody is affected by that disease called political correctness, which is another way of saying I am a sheep. I will do what everybody else does.
They call them sheeple.
Sheeple, yes, very good. They tend to say, in your tradition, Rabbi, no, I don't have a tradition, I've got a religion.
I'll argue that too, but that's another conversation.
Okay.
For simplicity's sake, in your religion.
In your religion. Now, you see, that means to say that my religion is different to your religion if you're a Catholic or you're a Protestant or you're a Muslim, and we can agree to disagree agreeably. But I'm not going to pretend that I'm the same as you, because if I was the same as you, I'd be wearing a cross instead of a rather Scottish flavoured tie here, and one of them. It's the only way to get ahead. So basically,
the Pope has one of those too.
He does?
Yes, it actually says inside Bar Mitzvah of Jonathan Rosenberg.
I saw it. I saw him there.
Yeah. You were at the Bar Mitzvah?
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
And the Pope, I was so nice.
I was by the Shmorg. I didn't come over. I didn't realize you were there.
It's good. Anyway, so basically, we've got different religions. We view things differently. So the Rambam actually says we strongly disagree with Christianity and Islam. However, we'd have to accept that there are elements of Torah, because God wanted the Torah. Torah is not for just Jewish people. We are the priestly nation. So let's keep with the church, right? There's the priest and the congregation. They're all they're all on board with the same idea.
I'm not ignoring you. I want to share a letter with you that someone sent me while you're talking. Please continue. I'm sorry.
We're all on board with the same idea if you're in the church. It's just that he's leading the service. So basically the whole world is supposed to believe in God. There's the basic, they call it 7 Noachite commandments, 7 mitzvah b'nei Noach, the basic components of morality.
Okay.
Which
interestingly enough, there are more than 7 mitzvos that
apply.
Okay, it's just that's the foundation. That's like saying the 10 commandments. They're
the
not.
Foundation.
Yes, yeah.
That was the Ramban's first comment in last week's Seder, in actual fact. He says the exact same thing. It's the basic. You open a packet of soup and it's powder, and you put in the right amount of water, cook it at the right temperature for the right amount of time, and suddenly there's peas and carrots, and poof, you got a big bowl of soup. That's the 10 commandments.
Okay.
They spill it to 603, making 613 altogether. If the same ratio of 1 to 60, and this is the Ritva speaking, well, I'm not the Ritva, but I'm quoting it.
Yes. Can you speak in his accent?
I don't know what accent he has.
I don't know. Where was he from? I don't know.
God, that's an interesting question.
Anybody who knows where the Ritva is from, please let us know. 718-801-1923.
Yeah,
Send me a text.
Yeah, God, that's embarrassing. I mean, so I won't do his accent unless he was from Ireland. So the Ritva said, basically, he says that the exact same ratio of the 10 commandments to the other 603, which is 1 to 60, if you take the 7 Noachite commandments, then it's 420 non-Jewish people have to keep.
Let me ask you a question on that, though, because it's funny you said, we both said 10 commandments. There are 14 commandments in the Yaseres Adibros.
Oh, that's very
that doesn't work, really.
This is very complicated. I think we're going to bore your audience.
Okay, but I'm just pointing that out. It is an interesting thing over there. I could say Dibra from the word speaking and so on and so forth. It's the 10 utterances.
So I'm sure you're utterly right.
Oh, that was utterly
really
ridiculous.
Utterly
Okay, we could go on and on. We're not going to.
No.
Okay, I actually have people who I know are listening and who hate puns, so we're not going to.
It's a strange thing. The British love puns.
Yeah.
Americans go.
Well, men in general love puns. The women, if you find a woman who loves a pun, marry her. I mean,
Right.
Yeah, your wife may not approve, but
no.
Okay.
Well, we could do the old polygamy thing.
No. Well, Cherem der Benergershon has expired. Okay. I don't know. We're getting in trouble here. We are in Brooklyn. There are Rabbanim calling in right about now. Probably, the switchboard's going to light up, and we're going to get anyway. The truth is, you did mention, talking about marrying. You mentioned that your wife on her shidduch resume way back in the day was looking for somebody who did accents. So
This is very strange.
did you see this on the resume?
No.
So you just heard about this afterwards?
On her resume, she told me this.
Yeah.
She had she had included all the things she wanted from a would-be husband, including that he can do accents. And she told this to her rabbi. Are you nuts? Take that off. Anyway, she ended up with one.
Fantastic.
And I don't mean to do it. It just sort of like
It
comes
slips out. It's okay. Anyway, so I want to share with you this letter. So this came from Othello.
Othello? Shakespeare?
Yes.
Oh, this is a very high class program. Yeah.
You speak in 17 accents and I can't even speak in English. That's incredible.
Othello,
Always
wonderful.
remember, listen, if you're going to speak properly, you have to put the emphasis on the right syllable.
Absolutely.
How's that? If my wife is listening, she's going to kill me. She hates that line.
Yeah.
I throw that around the house and the kids start
she
doing
throws you
it.
out the
And
house.
she's furious at me. Oh my gosh. Anyway, on my social media medium, which does exist out there, I have conversations with people all the time about politics. I don't do it on my Jewish side. I have several different aspects where I reach
You're
out to people.
also multi
Yeah.
personality person.
Exactly, yes. Roses are red, violets are blue. I'm a schizophrenic, and so am I. Yeah, sorry. But anywho.
You know, George? We're not long.
Yeah. This is why I love having you here. Like, they're like, who are these people? What is going on, and why am I listening to this program? But let me tell you. So anyway, one of the things I do out there in the outside world is I reach out to people through these various social media outlets. And on one side, I speak only about Judaism, only about Torah, about Hashkafa. I mix in a dash of humor and so on and so forth. Usually I'm quoting you if I want to be funny. But, I do what I can. And then on the other side of things, I argue politics and I this and I that. They always say, don't talk politics, you'll turn off 50% of the people. Well, apparently I turn off 51.2% of the people because those are the numbers. Oh, I'm not supposed to be getting involved with that. Anyway, there are people out there who disagree with me politically. And I use my conversations with them as springboards into Torah. Because Republicans, Democrats, Socialists, Communists, and so on and so forth, at the end of the day, they all have things that are good about them.
100%.
Okay? And if we just, pull the best from everybody, we will have what we call the Torah.
Yeah, I once had a conversation with one of my university students when I was still looking after the little darlings in Manchester. One said, quite seriously, so the Torah is basically socialist, isn't it? I said, nope. So, but you've got the idea of giving 10% of your income to look after poor people, etc.
Right.
I said, absolutely. So, well, that's socialist. I said, no, that's Torah. And I've heard other people in American terms, Republican, will say, well, it's very business oriented. There's all sorts of laws about business and how much is a maximum profit you're allowed to take. It's beginning to with Shabbos, the Mishnah Berurah says that. It talks about off the charging too much, etc.
By the way, you're doing it, but I'm just going to ask you, make sure you speak in English, the Mishnah Berurah, the Code of Judaism.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, the Mishnah Berurah, the Chofetz Chaim's take on the Shulchan Aruch.
Okay.
What would that do?
And the Shulchan Aruch being the...
The Shulchan Aruch being the codification of all the Talmud's laws as it applies over the last 2,000 years that we got kicked out of the land of Israel and the temple got destroyed.
Oh, okay, very good.
Okay.
If anybody out there is listening from Art Scroll or Feldheimer, Judaica Press, and so on and so forth, please make your books in English, okay? I don't just mean yeshivish English. Write in such a way, and yourself included, you have 8 books, and 9th one that are being worked on. Write in such a way that the other 89% of the Jewish people can understand.
You had said Siyata D'Shmaya in your introduction.
That is true.
You didn't say, with heaven's help. I took the lead from you, but if you want me to be British, I'll be British.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes,
the reason why I said BSD and B'siyata D'Shmaya actually is because another one of our sponsors is BSD Productions, and if anybody out there needs videography or so on and so forth, please reach out to BSD Productions, and we'll provide their information later on in the show, or you could send me a text to 718-801-1923 and call up BSD and say, I need a videographer, I heard you're the best, and therefore I'd like to support your enterprise. So there. Anyway, so I utilize, as I was saying, the discussion of politics to bring people back to the fact that Torah is Torah, and it discusses and it encompasses everything. Socialism, capitalism, etc., etc., etc. So this fellow, when we finally moved beyond politics, shared with me the following. I think we're finally agreeing. The only problem is that 99% of the world, actually he said 99.9% of the world, isn't Jewish. So what are they supposed to follow? He wrote Yoshka's, he spelled it out. But Yoshka is their path to knowing the moral laws.
Jesus.
Oh, you said it, not me. Okay. It's not Jesus. Okay, anyway. Jesus is their path to knowing the moral laws of the Torah, so I'm not sure why Jesus is so vilified in the Jewish community. Without him, no one would know Torah or God, except the Jews and the Arabs. Could you imagine a world without Jesus? Only Jews would know Torah, and most of the rest of the world would be pagans. For what it's worth, by the way, this very fine fellow is a member of the tribe. And he's sharing his thoughts. Would you speak to that? And I hope to point out to him that he should listen in on our program in the archives and hear your answer. What do you have to say for yourself?
What do I have to say to myself?
Yeah.
Look, he raises a very interesting point. However, there is a distinct... I think he's changed the word Torah to mean anything which is sourced in the so-called Bible. We're back to King James. Right?
Yaakov. No, King James.
That's right, yes. And that is not Torah. And his assumption that without Christianity the world wouldn't know anything but God and they'd all be pagan, well, it ain't necessarily so. Again, we were talking about this earlier on. We believe that Judaism, the Torah, is for everybody. Right? And we were talking about the 7 Noachide commandments. That's very, very different to what Christianity is. If it wasn't different, we wouldn't have 2 different religions. He seems to join them both together as basically being branches of the same. They're not. They're completely and totally different.
Would you hazard to say that they're diametrically opposed to each other?
In certain cases, certainly.
Okay.
Obviously, for example, if you think that God takes human form, yes. Look, let me tell you this is for your friend here, this is very, very interesting. True story. I can't remember when, but 20 years ago, when the Europeans put satellites into space, that's a very seriously expensive business. Then they don't use, I don't think America uses its own rockets at the moment. You get rid of your the Challenger and all that sort of stuff. What was it?
The closest I know about space is the USS Enterprise. I'm sorry.
Oh, isn't that a ship?
What? It is a ship, yes.
Good.
It's a naval destroyer.
Well, you're really very far away from space if you think that goes into... Okay, but look,
the Hanebinyan.
whatever
Those who
floats
know.
your boat.
Oh!
As they say. Oh, it gets worse. It gets worse. Very sorry.
If you don't like poetry, it could always be verse. That was terrible. That was
no,
painful.
stop it. Stop it. What was I saying? You've completely thrown me off.
The satellites in space.
Yeah. So they've got their own space rocket that takes off. Yeah, because you've lost your shuttle program. As far as I know, the United States now, when they put rockets into space, use a Russian rocket. Satellites into space. Not weird. No mind. Anyway, so basically, true story, they had a satellite which cost trillions of dollars or euros. You know, the equipment on there is huge. And they launched from French Guyana. Now, after 4 or 5 miles, it was going off course. And so they had to press the button and abort. Now, they've just lost an enormous amount of money and they want to know why. So they had a whole analysis, an inquest into what went wrong. And they discovered it boiled down to a mistake of a computer programmer. Rockets, have you ever seen the bottom of them, have 4 nozzles. And by emphasizing the thrust in any of those, it changes the direction of the rocket. There's an onboard computer which is called the attitude control, or the attitude control.
Ooh.
Yes, I know.
Ooh.
And
You're from Brooklyn.
I'm from Brooklyn, the attitude control. I got attitude. And it tells the rocket ship where to go, left, right, etc. There'd been a mistake. The mistake was, if I remember rightly, 0.000000001 of a millimeter.
Is that the accurate number of zeros? Are you making it?
Really? 0.000000001 of a millimeter. Now you say, well, big deal. But you see, that tiny mistake over time and over distance became exponentially magnified. The rocket was going off course. It would never achieve its orbit, could fall and kill people. Boom, they had to blow it up. What seems to be a tiny difference, or a tiny mistake, but over time often becomes magnified, exaggerated, and shown to be rather fundamental. We believe truth is not up for debate. A thing is absolutely true, or if it is flawed over time, those flaws will come out. Look, I'm not about attacking other people's religion, but I have got many Christian colleagues, good friends, wear the collar, called a dog collar in England, etc. I was the one to ask to come and did train a group of Church of England priests, trainee priests, on how to speak and how to give lectures. And afterwards, we were sitting around having cups of tea. Tea, this is England, yeah. And they were when they were being honest, they were in deep and profound depression over the fact that they've lost Europe. The church lost Europe. And by
It's amazing. You have the priests giving confession to the rabbi.
in a very strange,
Yeah.
but they were upset. I mean, the irony of guys knocking on our door saying, have you considered Jesus? Which sometimes happens. Hello, all this sort of stuff. You've lost your own people. England. Nobody goes to church in England anymore. Well, relatively speaking, religion is seen as being a joke. Jean-Paul Sartre talked about modern man having a God-shaped hole in him. It's been removed. Now, over time, if you looked at the Christian church when Rome took it up, or certainly during the Byzantine period or the Middle Ages, you would think, and they did think, there forever. They thought this was it.
Right.
The Messiah had come. Well,
Literally, that's what they
literally had come.
Right.
But he's God at the same time. A bit confusing. That ain't going to work. It's just, that's not going to float. Over time, you see, there's not. If something is flawed, if there's a hairline crack in the wing, you don't detect it, change it and fix it, the wing's going to come off, which you don't want to happen in fly. What I'm trying to say is like this: it's not the same religion. There indeed are Jewish ideas which are mixed in with it, correct, but there's lots of non-Jewish ideas which are mixed in with it. And that's important as well.
Could you speak to some of those? We do have some non-Jews out in the audience.
Surely. Well, look, again, it's difficult to get non-Jews watching. I'm not trying to,
No, you were very clear about that. Without even knowing that, you were very clear. No one's looking to attack anybody. It's a matter of education, sharing information, and so on and so forth.
I'll tell you more than that. I was once. I used to regularly go when I was based in Manchester, and I was the rabbi to 14 universities in the northwest of England, the official campus.
Wow.
So I looked after about 2,500 to 3,000 Jewish souls. And I was invited once to speak at the Islam Awareness Week in Liverpool University, which sounded a bit strange. You wanted a rabbi. Anyway, so basically I went there. There was 4 speakers. There was an atheist. He was really fun because he was barking mad. Very angry young man who liked to scream. And, religion has caused more death than all that, which shows that he knows nothing about history or religion. Then there was...
Well, people have been killed in the name of religion.
More people were killed in the 20th century than all of humanity's wars put together, and there's very few wars in the 20th century fought over religion. Certainly the Second World War wasn't fought over religion, nor was the First. And when China invaded Vietnam, 2 communist countries, or when the Khmer Rouge killed 1 million of the Khmer, wasn't about religion. So I think that's breathtakingly naive. To address that for a second, it's not a question of religion. What human beings are particularly hopeless at is people who are different. If you're different to me by colour, by religion, by musical affiliation, that's enough for me to hate you. In England, they used to have things called mods and rockers back in the day, as they say in the 60s. The mods tended to listen to the Beatles, and they drove scooters and wore parkas. The rockers liked the Rolling Stones. Sorry, that's a group.
So were the Beatles, for that matter. We're not talking about those little things that crawl around on those Crown House apartments.
B-E-A-T, Beatles. But they used to have running battles, literally, in the seafronts and the seaside towns, like you have here, on the boardwalks, stabbing each other.
Really? Over music?
Over music. I mean, the rockers drove motorbikes, more leather, right? Rolling Stones. But these guys, what was the difference? Human beings, or you support in England, that's certainly in Scotland where I come from, supporting the opposing football team. Which doesn't happen in America. You go to a ball game.
No. Everyone loves each other.
Yeah, it's all very cool. There they kill each other.
The reason why everyone loves each other in America, actually, you should know, and we know that they have rivalries and so on and so forth. But the truth is, people are so... They move from place to place. I have a friend of mine who used to live in New York, now lives in Denver. All of a sudden, they're Denver It's Broncos, right? I think it's Broncos.
yeah,
I'm asking you. I
know nothing.
I think it's yeah. So they're now Denver Bronco fans. Go
Good
figure.
for them.
I'm from Columbus, Ohio. Originally, I grew up with the Columbus Clippers, which is the Yankees farm team. I live in Staten.
Clippers.
Clippers. Yes, I know.
It sounds like manicure.
Exactly, yes, something like that. And then I live in Staten Island. I have the Staten Island Yankees. I live in New York. I have to be a Yankees fan. And the truth is, as far as I know, they do the same thing that they do in football games. I really don't know that much.
Really? Yes.
I enjoy going. But anyway, so you're saying, but people difference.
Yeah. So
by the way, you know what? Hold that thought, please. Just a moment. Yes, you're holding that thought. I do have to do some station identification.
Do station identification.
All right, you'll hold your thought?
Yeah, just tell me we're at the BBC and carry on.
We're in the... Never mind that. Okay, this is Rabbi YY on the BBC, who has a PhD in ABCs, and You are listening to Radio Hidabrut at jrootradio.com. You are listening to 97.5 FM. If you are of those who believe you're allowed to be on the internet, and I never paskin that you should or should not be, but if you are, you're probably listening at jrootradio.com, and we're very glad to have you. This is your Kiruv Connection. I am Rabbi Dovid Winiarz, your host. I'm trying to inform and inspire you about all things pertaining to Kiruv V'chokim, Kiruv Krovim, Chizuk Krovim, and the things we need to do to give nachas to the Ribono Shalom, to all of his children. That's what I'm doing. Our guest today is Rabbi YY Rubenstein, who is a noted everything, a noted lecturer, a noted writer, a noted columnist. He's in Mishpacha magazine, by the way. That was a wonderful article. We'll come back to that in just a moment. And if you're interested in having Rabbi YY appear live and 3D at your organization or institution or your college campus or your living room table, your dining room table or your living room, please feel free to reach out to me at the station, and I'll put you in touch with this very fine fellow. You could reach me, or him, at 718-983-9272. That's 718-983-9272. You could text me at 718-801-1923, 718-801-1923, or you could email me at dovid@dovid.com. And yes, today's program has been sponsored by Fidelity Payment Services. I love it when people call me up and say, I would love to support the work you do on the radio, the work that Radio Hidabrut does on the radio, and therefore I'd like to talk to you about my credit card processing business. Of course, even if you don't like everything you're listening to right now, but you continue to because you enjoy inflicting pain upon yourself. You see what you do to me? I'm not normally like this on the radio. This is incredible. But really, if you are continuing to listen and you're groaning and rolling your eyes in agony and pain, please reach out to me and I'll be happy to help you out. Again, those 4 ways that you could accept money in your business are cash, credit card or debit card, check, or gift or loyalty card, and I can help you process all of those things. This has been a word from our sponsor. And now, back to our show. Rabbi YY, you were saying.
So I was there to talk at the Islam Awareness Week. And basically, so we had an atheist, there was a Christian, there was a Muslim, and there was me. And each of us started...
Which one were you?
I...
Never mind.
Yeah.
By the way, did you hear about the dyslexic agnostic who had insomnia?
Go on.
He stayed up all night wondering if there was a dog.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. That was... Yeah.
Sorry.
Don't give up the daytime employment. Where was I?
Islam Awareness
Yeah,
Week.
that was so bad. You're completely... So, basically, everybody had to say... it was 2,000 people in the auditorium, mostly Muslims, and we're talking hardcore. I mean, ladies with, the whole thing. Anyway, so basically... The atheist shouted and screamed for 10 minutes. Loved him. Then we had the Christian fellow talk, of course, about Jesus. Then it was me, and I did the Judaism bit. And then there was the Muslim guy. Now, there is a certain... I mean, you've got to fit into a culture. Things work in various cultures. In Britain, and in England in particular, everybody is polite. Hello. Now, you may strongly disagree with somebody's views, but you do it politely. Hello. And later, you stab them in the back. Right. But to their faces.
Somebody told me that it takes 20 minutes in between every floor in the elevator because they all say hello to each other before they move on. I don't know if that's true.
Now, this imam was obviously just off the boat from Pakistan or Saudi Arabia or somewhere. He didn't know how to play the game in England. So he began with, I'm telling you now, if you don't believe what I believe, you're going to burn in hell. And all this provoked enormous eye-rolling in the audience, particularly from the Muslims who realised he didn't get it.
Wait, who was the one who did?
The Muslim speaker.
Oh, the Muslim speaker.
That's how he began his speech.
Wow.
Yeah. Nothing to be ashamed of. So that was, fine. The Muslims in the audience would go, oh, no, you don't approach it like that. This is Britain. You don't do that. And people go, oh, my Allah. So
we've used that line before. That came out smoothly.
Just popped into my mind.
I'm sorry.
That line is copyrighted. If you use it, I'll say you. Anyway, and so will God. Anyway, so where was I? So basically...
Speaking to that for a moment, actually. What? I'm sorry.
I'm in full flow. I'm flowing here.
No, the truth is actually I did get a shaila. I got a question from a student once who wanted to know. They had a baseball cap that their mother gave them that said Allah stinks on it. And
no.
I know they were very offended by it because the truth is, in their growth, they were realizing that we do treat everybody respectfully.
Absolutely.
And honorably, and so on and so forth. And they did not want to just throw this cap in the garbage because it said Allah on it.
Which is one of God's names.
Which is one of God's names, which was the point that was coming to, because they realized that the Muslims believe in the same God we do. They call him something different. Yes, their prophet perhaps may have messed things up for, that's a conversation which will continue. But Allah and God.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so they didn't know what to do.
Come back to that, actually.
Yes, so they called me up and they said, what do I do with this baseball cap? And I had opinions of my own, but as I'm wont to do, I called and I asked Rav Dovid from right here in Brooklyn what to do with it. And he said, if you want to dispose of it, treat it as you would disposable shemus, like your kids' parsha sheets and so on and so forth, that you're allowed to dispose of, but in a respectful fashion. He said, don't throw it out with the Shabbos cholent.
Yeah,
whatever's left. He said, treat it respectfully and so on and so forth. So much so, it's a beautiful thing. Judaism demands respect of all human beings, regardless of not just religious affiliation, Reform, Conservative, Orthodox, Reconstructionist, Deconstructionist, etc., 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 but everybody in the entire world.
100%. Yeah. Which links me very nicely into what happened next. Because after we all gave our introduction to our beliefs and our religion, after that it was then a question time from the audience. And halfway through, somebody asked me a question which as an Orthodox Jew, as a rabbi, I was appalled by, really horrified by, which was, what makes you think your religion is right and theirs is wrong?
It's a great question. I get that all the time.
But this is something because we don't want to offend people and throw spanners in the works of their beliefs, normally I would squirm away from that. But as the Muslim guy had set the tone of the evening, I decided to go for it in a Scottish way. And so I said, what makes me think my religion is right and theirs is wrong? The answer's simple. And I paused for dramatic effect. Julie Andrews. And at this point,
everyone is like, okay, which is what I'm doing right now as well.
Everybody's laughing. I said, Julie Andrews, The Sound of Music.
Yes. The hills are alive.
So it was very interesting. In case you didn't know, interesting sociological piece of research. Muslims like The Sound of Music. Right? So it's 2,000 Muslims.
Okay. And you know that how exactly?
They're all nodding. Oh, yes.
Okay.
So I said, do you remember the song in The Sound of Music? Do a deer, a female deer. And more nodding.
Yeah,
2,000 nods, right?
Yes, that's like 1,000 of them humming.
Yes. Oh, how does it begin, I asked. And then I so wish this was filmed, right? We then, at 2000 minutes, going,
it's going to be filmed right now.
Oh, no, that's not. I said, no, that's not how it begins.
And the world got along with such beautiful unity, and everyone was hugging each other.
Yeah. So
maybe not, but okay.
That's not how it begins. It begins with, let's start at the very beginning, a very good place to start. When you read, you begin with ABC. When you sing, you begin with Do, Re, Mi. And again, there was nodding of agreement. So I said, okay, now let me fire a really weird...
You are as brilliant as you sound. You realize that, don't
Thank
you?
Thank you. Let me ask you a really strange question, just to humour me. Suppose I come into university, you're standing with a group of your friends today, and I say, I'm her mother, or I'm his mother. What's wrong with that claim? I asked them. Somebody said, you don't look like her. No, I'm a man. That's
right,
the first thing I'm wrong. Look, Adam's apple beard. Leave it there. Clearly masculine.
Then it was not a grey beard.
No, I diet to give me rabbinic gravitas. Nothing to do with my age. Anyway, so I said, but suppose I was a woman and I made that claim, that I am your mother. Now, my claim isn't that I'm your birth mother and the lady who brought you up, who made your sandwiches before you went to college today. She adopted you. No. My claim is I am she. And your friends say, okay, how would you prove that I'm not your mother? And the 2,000 people in the audience was, what? I said, I know this is weird. Humour me. So somebody said, well, if you're my mother, what's my favourite food? If you're my mother, somebody else said, how many siblings do I have? If you're my mother, somebody else said, what's her address? And of course, I can't answer the question, so obviously I'm not your mother, the lady who sent you out. But suppose I go away and do a little bit more research. I'm able to tell you your address, your favourite food, and how many siblings. So I can answer these questions. Then how would you prove I'm not your mother to your friends? So I'm just asking more complicated questions. Where did the family go for their annual vacation? When I fell off my bike when I was 9, how many stitches did I get in my right knee? Etc., etc. What was the name of the cat? The point I'm trying to make...
The terrifying thing is that if my own kids ask me these questions, I don't know that I know the answers, but okay.
Did you say that?
It's okay. It's like, I want you to know that's why my wife would be along for that conversation.
I see.
She knows all this stuff.
Good. No, you always need a wife. Yeah. So I said, the point I'm trying to make is that nobody knows your mother better than you. And if the claim of the founder of Christianity was that, or rather the claim of his followers, that he was a guru, he was a holy man, he was a good man, fine, that's their belief. But that's not their claim. Their claim is that he is our Messiah. And nobody knows our Messiah better than us, in the same way that nobody knows your mother better than you. We have certain expectations of our Messiah. For a start, he has to rebuild the destroyed temple. This was a bummer for Jesus, because when he lived, it had not yet been destroyed. You could see him walking past it every day saying, oh, come on, Dad, give me a break. I mean, how can you go about it? All war ends. You'll, of course, notice this phenomenon since the arrival of Christianity on the planet, right? Disease disappears. No. Now, Islam recognizes Jesus as being a prophet. Not God, not the Messiah, but a prophet. What sort of prophet? Our sort of prophet. And again, therefore, we become the arbitrators. If it's our, we decide whether or not it's legitimate, because nobody knows our prophet's better than us. I said I don't want to upset anybody here, but as he did not fulfill our requirement that a prophet doesn't change any of the laws of the Torah, and he changed a ton, that's why we don't follow him either. Now, the strange thing was I had to leave early that night to get back to Manchester.
Wow, I would have loved to know what the feedback was to this.
Oh, I'm going to tell you. So they announced that the rabbi had to leave early. I stood up to go, and I got a standing ovation from 2,000 Muslims.
Really?
A standing ovation. Now, this is crucial. The reason is because Muslims are very proud of their faith. Have you ever seen a rest area on the freeways in the US? Not so much here, but certainly in England. You stop in what's called a service station, or in England on a motorway, and maybe from Manchester to London. Somebody wants to daven mincha. How does a religious Jew daven, pray the afternoon prayer service in a service station? He
At
drives,
a phone booth, of course.
No, he drives to the truck park. He hides behind the largest truck, or maybe underneath it. Shock goes like crazy.
Right.
Muslims, no problem. Out with the prayer mark, Allah Akbar. No problem. Proud, they respect people who are proud of the beliefs. Don't get me wrong, they didn't rush out and find a rabbi and convert to Judaism.
Just as well, that's fine.
Yeah, to me. Couldn't do it all. But the point is that they respect people who are proud of their beliefs. Right? So we agreed to disagree agreeably, which is a nice way to do it. But ultimately, they're different religions. They say different things. And if a thing...
Both Islam and Christianity, we're coming back
They're
to
clearly different.
what our fellow
100%.
questioner had to say.
100%. And again, they contradict. Right? It can't all be true, because there's massive contradictions. There is the...
You're saying contradictions between Judaism and Christianity, or Christianity
and
and
Islam.
Islam?
Yeah, make up your mind. It can only work if you have the famous YY Rubenstein God is fickle theory.
Okay, would you share us what that is?
This is
in the
YY
17 minutes we have for last
Rubenstein.
please.
The YY Rubenstein God is fickle theory goes like this. God, everybody agrees, Islam and Christianity, Judaism came first. They all agree that.
They all agree that, okay.
Then Christianity believes they superseded and overtook the role of Judaism. Islam says the same.
Wait, back up. They both agree that Judaism came first.
Then along comes Christianity.
Okay.
Christianity say, we've got a New Testament, a new covenant, a new religion, we've taken your role. Right? New laws, New Testament. Islam says, did the same thing. To Christianity, Baha'i said they say the same thing. It's an ongoing process.
How many people in the world are behind?
I don't know. I'm
So-
a bit behind the times.
Oh,
no!
You learned in Panovich,
I
I'm
know.
sure. Yes,
Oh,
very good.
yes.
Yeah, yes, very good.
Anyway, but the crucial thing here is that...
Tobias Singer is going to be very upset listening to this
Is
program,
he?
because he always thought he was the funniest person on the program.
Back to this. They say that each one superseded the other. Now, so God gives Judaism, says, pork's out. Along Christianity, you can eat it.
Not on Fridays.
Whatever. Then Islam. Pork's out again. Just can't make up his mind, can he? The God's fickle theory. It's either true or it's not true. They contradict each other, these religions, in many crucial, critical areas. Now, you can get around this by saying God made Judaism for the Jews, and Christianity for the Christians, and Islam for the Muslims, which is, I think, what you were saying before. That's not what the Rambam says. It's not what Judaism says. There are too many contradictions within them for God to say, it's okay for you to polygamy, but you... No, it doesn't make sense. Each of the three religions, including us, say that, no, God wanted everybody to be on board on this religion. You don't have to be a Jew, but to believe in God.
Highlight that, please.
Judaism believes that the Torah is for everybody.
Okay.
That means to say, you don't have to be Jewish, convert to Judaism, to keep the Torah's laws that are for everybody else. The 7 Noachide commandments we mentioned.
Which is the 400 and whatever.
Which is the 400, etc. One of the 7 Noachide commandments is to set up law courts. Your Senate, your Congress, and your President.
It's not your Senate and Congress yet.
No, I am a mere green card.
You're a mere green card.
I'm a mere green card. In a green room. Basically, if they pass laws, that has the force of Torah laws for American citizens.
So as long as what American law is, if it doesn't contradict the Torah law, then people have to follow it.
Absolutely. The speed limit, don't go faster than the speed limit. You are over a doraisa, as they say in Aramaic. You're flying in the face of the Torah's commandment.
That's amazing. Really?
Good, Daniel.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's absolutely amazing. Okay. That's good to know. So the whole world, when you're loved, the whole world is Jewish, like that old album is, but they're not really Jewish. They just have to believe it.
Here's a crucial idea. We believe, honestly believe, and this is quoting someone called Shlomo Wolbe, one of the great philosophers who died only 15 years ago, 20 years ago, of this generation. His first essay in one of his books points out that the basis of Judaism is that we believe that everything in the world is connected. That's, say, the inanimate, that which grows, the animal, and the human. We believe that we're connected to the inanimate because we believe we're made from the earth. We certainly grow, our beards grow, our hair grows, our nails grow, as do plants. The connection between human beings and animals is far, far more acute. If you see a dog greeting its master, its mistress, the tails, and they love us and we love them. In fact, the Hebrew for dog is kelev, which you break it down as ketlev, like the heart.
Oh, and I heard it was kolev. They're all heart.
Well, if you like.
Either one, okay.
Yeah, same idea. The phrase in English, wear your heart on your sleeve. A dog can't but display its love for its master. The connection between human beings is far more acute. It's the opposite of what we were saying before. Difference causes different religion, different color, different all that sort of stuff causes hatred. We believe that God made us all one designer for the whole thing. In the ancient world, to be different was a death sentence. The story in the Bible about going to Sodom, if you were a foreigner there, you were hated. You couldn't offer hospitality. You can go to Europe today, go to Austria today, you'll see spray painted on the walls, Auslanders raus, foreigners out. Well, we don't believe that ultimately anybody is foreign, because we believe that the one Father who designed us all, it's one homogeneous machine. We're connected to everything.
That's amazing.
And that's why there's no commandment repeated as often in the whole of the Torah, by far, than the midst of loving somebody who's different to you, loving the stranger, loving the foreigner. 36 times, according to one opinion, 46 times. No, don't kill, don't commit adultery, nothing. A couple of times. But loving people who are different to you, it's so...
And that's regardless of the way they believe they were created.
100%.
So if a person, has issues with orientation and so on and so forth, the Torah says, "Pru'ervu, be fruitful and multiply." There are those who feel that doesn't apply to them because of the way they feel they were created and so on and so forth. However, you're saying those people are deserving and we are commanded to love.
100%. Come on, look. There are lots of things that people do wrong.
Okay.
From a Torah point of view, including me. I do things wrong. I speak inappropriately sometimes. Sometimes it's my temper, etc. I'm not a write-off as a human being because I'm doing something wrong.
One more time.
Sorry, I slipped into... I'm not a write-off as a human being because I'm doing something the Torah says.
We're in tax season, so that's why they were talking about write-offs.
No, right. If you're talking about people of different orientation, this is a nice euphemism, my producer at BBC is definitely like that.
Mm-hmm.
The guy who's in charge of the classical music station in New York City is one of my ex-students. He's in a partnership with somebody who of the same gender, etc.
Mm-hmm.
I used to teach this guy. I would, if he asked me, is this the ideal lifestyle? I'd have to say my religion says no. Do I dislike them? Not in the slightest.
Right. Yeah, they're perfectly fine individuals, perfectly fine people
Just as
who
fine.
are deserving of happiness, but I think it's very important. Actually, this
It's a big issue. This is
right.
we had a whole program.
I know,
on
absolutely, I know. But I'm just saying, we're speaking to it briefly, because I actually, just before the show, got a message from somebody, because I spoke about happiness. Rabbi Victor Miller actually says that the Torah wants every person to be happy. Mm-hmm. And if you're not, and now, of course the happiness goes, into, we're talking about happiness in Olam Haba, in the next world, and so on and so forth. But Rabbi Victor Miller says, if you're not happy in this world, then you're not getting what you're supposed to be from the Torah. So this person asked me, well, how can I be happy if I'm different? And so on and so forth.
Yeah, that needs a big discussion.
Take a few minutes. Come on. Touch on it.
Look, leave aside that particular thing. We believe the Torah is the ideal formula for every human being. Ideal. Now, like all ideal things, you have to work at it in order to.
You have to aspire to it.
You have to aspire to it, and you have to make yourself somebody who fits with it. And I'm talking about myself as well.
Sure.
So therefore, if you live your life according to Torah values, I honestly believe, I've seen it a zillion times, ultimately you're going to have a happier life. If you fail, as I often do in that, then you're not.
Stop putting yourself down.
No, I can only talk from my personal experience.
No, but you're married. It's not your job to put yourself down.
That's true. Oh, you met my mother. Good. So basically we believe that the Torah is, a mitzvah is good for you, a commandment. What the Torah wants you to do, Jewish and non-Jewish people,
right.
It's ultimately good for you. You're going to be a better person, you're going to be a happier person as a consequence. Simple as that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, fantastic. You have been listening. You've been listening to me. I've been listening to you. But everyone else outside has been listening to J-Root Radio at 97.5 FM on your FM dial if you're in Brooklyn. You've been listening at jrootradio.com if you're one of those who believe you're on the internet. And you might have even downloaded our app, actually. If you go to jrootradio.com or if you have a smartphone, you could download the app for jrootradio.com and you could be listening in your car, wherever you are, actually. Rabbi YY, it has been an honor and a privilege to have you here. As we've mentioned, you have 8 books, correct? Mm-hmm. Tell us just briefly, in the few minutes we have left, what type of books you've written, because you're here, you've taken the time to come and share with us some of your wisdom. What type of wisdom can the outside world get? By the way, those who do shop online could go to one of my websites, Jewtooth.com. That's like a Bluetooth, but Jewtooth. JEWTOOTH.com/affiliates. They could click on the Amazon link and they could buy your books.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, they could do that.
They should do that.
They should do that. Jewtooth.com/affiliates.
Love it.
Is that great? Yes, /affiliates.
Yeah.
They could shop Amazon as well as ArtScroll, Feldheim, a whole host of other wonderful websites there. And they will be supporting Survival Through Education, which is one of the institutions and organizations I'm affiliated with. We try to make a difference in reaching out to Jews of all affiliations, and we try to educate them because we believe the survival of the Jewish people will come about with survival through education.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yes, and if anybody purchases your books there, they should look up Rabbi YY Rubenstein.
Except the last one, the one that's under YY Rubenstein. That's my funny book, which I noticed you've got a copy of here.
Yes, as we said, The Queen's Life. That's on Amazon, no?
Yep, that's on Amazon. The Queen's Lives.
Queen's
Secret
Lives,
Diaries,
The Secret Diaries of Queen Elizabeth II.
II.
This is the only one that has some degree of fiction in it, correct?
That's the only one that I'm admitting I wrote.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay, there you go. How can they find the other ones, and tell us a little bit
Well,
about
if you
the
go
other
to Amazon, you find. So my first 3 books, the first 2 books were basically collections of my articles in those days, Hamadiyah, and other Jewish publications. So the first one was called Dancing Through Time. Some incredible stories. We meet some incredible Jews in that book.
Such as? Give me 2 examples.
A man I met at the wedding of his granddaughter in Antwerp in Belgium. This old fellow dancing. They were dancing at the wedding. They were going around in a clockwise direction. Belza Hasidim. Serious. These guys know how to dance. And this old guy dancing in a counterclockwise direction. Wow, he was getting them going. Come on, in his 70s. Come on, more Lebedik, more lively. I said, who is that guy? Oh, that was the grandfather of the bride. Somebody said, do you know him? It's called Reb Sender Fried. He was in Auschwitz. Wow. And I said to his wife afterwards, his daughter afterwards, it was a privilege meeting your father. I wonder what he was thinking when he was dancing at his granddaughter's wedding. After all, he was on the death march from Auschwitz when they entered the mountain, marched them to Dachau. Is that I can tell you, somebody asked him, where are you now, Ripsender? Where are you now? He said, I'm in Auschwitz. He could literally be dancing through time. We're dancing at his granddaughter's wedding and dancing there as well.
That's incredible.
The next book was called That's Life. It was split into three categories: your relationship with God, your relationship with other human beings, and your relationship with yourself, which people tend to forget about. The third book was very important and very successful in helping people. It was called On the Derech, which means on the path, answers to questions that challenge Jewish minds. 21 real questions posed to me by young Jews of the type of your friend from before, and 21 answers. Sometimes I didn't know the answers. The most important and exciting words I know of is I don't know. When somebody asks me a question I don't know the answer, I find it so exciting because I'm going to go away and find the answer. That's good. The fourth book is called The Little Book for Big Worries, Dealing with Serious Illness. It's based on my, not completely, but based on my own experience. My late wife died after 5 years of breast cancer, and it's how to help people who are going through serious health issues or can't have children. And it's a commercial flop because Jews see the words serious illness on the title and they drop it like a hot potato. However, it was ultimately very successful because people who are sick bought it.
People are?
Who were sick were given copies and they bought 50 or 100 and gave them to other sick people.
Wow. In other words, how to deal with me, not that I am sick. Thank God.
To help you, how you should be able to help other people not make mistakes. I'm trying to help making mistakes.
Wow.
And the next two books are translations of classic works. The Alshich, I was a medieval scholar, my favourite scholar, his commentary on Pirkei Avot, the ethics of the fathers, and the Haggadah, for Passover time. And
you wrote your own Haggadah?
No, I translated his.
You translated his. Oh, okay. That's something to put on the burner. That's the Rabbi YY Haggadah. Why? Why is this nice? Why is this night different?
Then I wrote another book, a novel, and under a pen name. You probably see I usually write under J.K. Rowling. Then I wrote this. I don't know why I laugh. Then I wrote The Queen Lives, The Secret Diaries of Queen Elizabeth II, and it's just a lot of fun.
Fantastic.
But I had to get permission from the palace, which I know you got here.
Yeah.
A letter from the palace saying I could write this, and also from J.K. Rowling, actually, because there's a whole chapter about how she really got the idea from Harry Potter, which of course was from Her Majesty.
So you spoke to her?
Who?
J.K. Rowling, or her office? You spoke.
I spoke to her. The producer of the documentary of her life is a very close friend of mine, the ex-son of the Archbishop of Canterbury.
Wow.
Yes.
That's amazing. If we could get her, I mean, the truth is I actually had a guest on the show where we got all sorts of calls that we should discourage having women on the program, which was a whole conversation unto itself, and I'm so glad we're running out of time because I don't want to have it. But it would have been fascinating to talk with J.K. Rowling because she certainly has some...
No, she's really a very, very special person.
Yeah.
Quickly?
Yes.
Jewish kid, dying, 1 week left, mother, somehow, only a Jewish mother could do this. In America, got hold of J.K. Rowling's personal number, phoned up J.K. Rowling, who is famously protective of her manuscripts.
Yes.
Said, my daughter's dying.
Yes, she got the one of the books out before.
She read it to her over the phone. The poor girl on a couch that week, read the whole book. When the girl died, as she did, gave £1 million to the trust that was set up to try and find a cure for this child.
Fantastic. She also is no longer a billionaire. I'm very proud to say because she gave away a large chunk of her money to tzedakah.
Yeah.
What the tzedakahs were, I don't know.
Charity.
To charity, yes, that's correct. But no, really, very, very impressive.
No, very impressive.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Of course, she wrote it in Scotland.
If you do say so yourself.
If I do say so myself. And the chief rabbi of Edinburgh's daughter used to babysit for her.
But you didn't give the haskama on any of the books, the approbation.
No.
Absolutely, that's okay. We'll work on that with the next one. But you know what? We're out of time. I'm so ecstatic you were here with us. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you'll come back. Anybody interested in buying Rabbi YY's books, getting him to come in and speak, he's an absolutely fantastic individual. This is your Cure of Connection. I am Rabbi Dovid Winiarz. That's Rabbi YY Rubenstein. And you are our amazing audience. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a wonderful day and an even better tomorrow. Stay well.